The 2020s have been a wild ride for the global economy. It's a stark contrast to the relative calm of the late 2010s. We've been hit by a pandemic, a war in Europe, and the fastest inflation in decades. These events have shaken the foundations of our economic systems. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a global recession. Supply chains were disrupted and businesses shut down. Governments and central banks stepped in with massive stimulus packages. These actions prevented a complete economic collapse. However, these measures also had unintended consequences. They fueled a surge in inflation, making everyday goods and services more expensive. The war in Ukraine further exacerbated these pressures, particularly on energy and food prices. In this turbulent environment, understanding the forces at play is crucial. This essay will delve into three key economic themes of the 2020s: recession, inflation, and the housing market. By understanding these concepts, we can better navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. A recession is a period of significant economic decline. It's typically marked by a contraction in gross domestic product, or GDP, for 2 consecutive quarters or more. Recessions are characterized by job losses, reduced consumer spending, and falling investment. Recessions can be caused by a variety of factors. These include financial crises, bursting asset bubbles, and external shocks like pandemics or wars. In the case of the 2020 recession, it was the COVID-19 pandemic that triggered the downturn. The effects of a recession can be far-reaching. Businesses struggle to survive as demand for their products and services declines. Unemployment rises as companies are forced to lay off workers. Consumers cut back on spending, further dampening economic activity. Governments and central banks typically respond to recessions with expansionary fiscal and monetary policies. These policies aim to stimulate demand and support the economy. However, these measures can take time to have an effect, and there is always a risk of unintended consequences. Inflation is a general increase in the prices of goods and services over time. When prices rise, each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. This decreases purchasing power. Inflation can be caused by demand pull or cost push factors. Demand pull occurs when demand outstrips supply. Cost push happens when production costs rise. Current inflation is driven by supply chain disruptions, high energy prices, and strong consumer demand. Central banks raise interest rates to control inflation. Section 4. The housing market, a roller coaster ride. The housing market is a key sector of the economy. It's closely tied to interest rates, employment levels, and overall economic growth. The 2020s have seen dramatic swings in the housing market. During the pandemic, housing markets experienced a downturn. However, this downturn was short-lived. As the economy recovered, demand for housing surged. This surge, coupled with limited supply, led to a rapid increase in home prices. Recent interest rate hikes have started to cool the housing market. The future of the housing market remains uncertain. Section 5. Intertwined forces, the economy's complex web. It's crucial to understand that recession, inflation, and the housing market are not isolated phenomena. They are interconnected forces that influence each other in complex ways. For example, the surge in inflation has made it more expensive to build new homes. This has contributed to the limited supply in the housing market, further fueling price increases. At the same time, rising interest rates implemented to combat inflation have made it more expensive to take out a mortgage, which could lead to a slowdown in the housing market. Furthermore, a recession could lead to job losses and a decline in incomes, making it harder for people to afford housing. This could lead to a decrease in demand, potentially causing home prices to fall. These interconnected forces highlight the complexity of the economic landscape. Understanding these connections is essential for policymakers, businesses, and individuals alike. Section 6. Looking ahead, uncertainty and potential. The economic landscape of the 2020s remains uncertain. The aftershocks of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and the ongoing challenges of climate change continue to create volatility and uncertainty. Central banks around the world are trying to navigate a delicate balance. They aim to bring down inflation without triggering a recession. The outcome of this balancing act will have significant implications for the global economy. Despite the challenges, there are also reasons for optimism. Technological innovation, the transition to a green economy, and the resilience of the human spirit offer hope for a more sustainable and equitable future. Navigating the years ahead will require adaptability, innovation, and a willingness to embrace change. By understanding the forces at play and working together, we can create a more prosperous and resilient future for all.